It's in the name.
Welcome into the Helping Healing Humor with Ben and Travis. On today's episode, we're going to interview the great Alabama 650 champion himself. Actually, we're just going to collect the whole set of the Reaves clan. We've had everybody else on. Well, maybe not everybody, but we're collecting them slowly. But we're going to have a great conversation with Trey Reaves right after these important messages. This episode of the Helping Healing Humor with Ben and Travis podcast is presented by Faulkner University. Faulkner University is a private Christian liberal arts university based in Montgomery, Alabama, with a mission to provide an education anchored by not only intellect, but also character and service. The Faulkner experience aims to educate the whole person. Every individual matters every day. We all want to become better versions of ourselves. No one wants to remain trapped where they are because of missed opportunities and unrealized dreams. At Faulkner University, we believe your dreams don't have an expiration date. We understand that you're looking for more than a degree. You want to find your niche and thrive in your career. Whether you're a high school senior just beginning your trek or an adult student looking for a better path, Faulkner is here to help guide your journey. Go to faulkner.edu to apply or get more info. That's faulkner.edu. I'm Travis Creasy. That's All-Pro Counselor with 3 Chord Counseling in Muscle Shoals, Alabama. Ben Hayes, how are you, sir?
Doing well. Just excited about this interview. I've been looking forward to it. Tracked Mr. Trey on his trip, and so I've been really excited about it. But before we get to him, there's Will Myhan across the room from us, but above us on the screen. How you doing, Will?
I'm doing good. Excited to be here. To hear from Trey, probably one of the coolest endurance guys, athletes I know. So just excited to hear what he has to say about things.
Take that, Josh Thorne, if you're listening. That's a challenge, homie. That's a challenge right there, thrown down. I always like issuing challenges on behalf of other people. So know that I'm not that type of athlete. But yes, Trey, it's great to have you with us. I'll let Ben, you just jump in, bro.
Well, so Trey has, I don't know, I guess we've known each other 18 years or so now. Yep. I've known Alicia forever. His wife was in high school with me. But Trey is one of those guys, as Will said, one of the coolest guys as far as endurance stuff. You've done a bunch of things through the years.
I have.
So tell us a little bit about other things you've done before we even get into this last one.
All right. So I started out as a runner. I've run 50K races. I ran a 50-mile race once. I've done the St. Jude Marathon. I've done a couple of other marathons. Then I got into mountain biking and done a few mountain biking races and done quite a bit of long-distance mountain biking, just pedaling for the fun of it. But a few years ago, my wife Alicia's got a cousin who was doing this Great Alabama 650 paddling race, and it just really piqued my interest. So I kind of decided I was going to do it one time, and
so bored
the rest is history.
Bored with using the feet, bored with using wheels. So why not use a kayak? So yeah, so you did it a couple of times, or you've done it. This is the third time or fourth time.
This is my fourth start, my third finish.
Okay, and so you've won the actual overall this year and last year, yes. And then you won the tandem part of it the year before that.
That's correct.
Yes. But there was some trouble the first year, right? So, tell us a little bit about the process of this.
Well, so the first year, I called up one of my friends. I decided I was going to do the race. I called up one of my friends who was not a paddler, and I was like, which I also was not a paddler. So you've got to start somewhere. I called him up and I was like, hey, man, there's this 650-mile race. And I was thinking about doing it. I think it'd be real cool to do it with a partner. Are you interested? And he said yes. He was interested. And he's a really busy guy as far as work goes. He and I both travel a lot for work. So we decided we were going to do it. We trained when we could. We bought a couple of tandem boats, and so we also had to do a qualifier race, which was what we did was a 65-mile race on part of the course that is the 650 course. And so we get to the 650 in October. I'm pretty trained to do it. He had trained some, and we get 160 miles into the race, and it was kind of a joint thing. We just decided that it was time for us to stop the race, and that was as far as we went that year. And after that, I was solely focused on getting back and doing it again, and he really wasn't. And so I did what I had to do to get back the next year. The people in the paddling community are amazing, amazing people. And so you go to do a race one time just to test yourself out. You start meeting all these amazing people that just want to better the paddling community, better your paddling ability. And so I just knew as soon as I didn't finish that year that I was going to come back the next year and some way or another finish the race. And that's all I really cared about, was getting the race behind me.
That's pretty cool. And so the next couple of years, you've just sort of added on to that challenge a little bit, but you finished the last 3 of them.
That's correct.
Pretty awesome.
So 3 years ago, I did it with Alicia's cousin, who had finished the race already by himself. He and I finished we were the first tandem team to finish. We actually were the fourth boat to finish overall. And then after that, I was just, I just really was interested in trying to finish it by myself. I didn't have any goals to be just the best paddler or anything like that, but I did have a goal to go and finish the race by myself. And I just, that first year that I went solo, I had done a lot of races tandem. I did 2 races solo leading up to the 650. And so I went back to the 650 and had a really good year and ended up winning.
So for people who don't know and haven't, really looked it up or Google it, I mean, you can go and find it online and see where the map is, and you can actually follow it while you guys are doing that. Will and I, and a lot of other people did, but it starts up north of Gadsden, I think, in Alabama.
It starts about 50 river miles north of Gadsden. It's actually about 30 miles driving. 50 river miles above Gadsden on Weiss Lake. You go through Weiss Lake 8 miles, then you have to portage around Weiss Lake Dam. You get into the Coosa River. You take the Coosa River down almost to Montgomery, where the Coosa and the Tallapoosa come together. That creates the Alabama River. You take the Alabama River down to the Alabama Delta, through Mobile Bay and to Fort Morgan, which is the mouth of the Gulf of Mexico.
A long way.
There's also 9 portages along the way where you have to get around dams. Yeah, you have to get out of the water, either carry or load your boat on a vehicle and get to the next place to put in below each dam. So
they'll allow you to put it on a trailer or something. You don't always have to carry it.
Yeah, so sometimes
you can pull it around.
Sometimes it's up to like 15 miles driving just to get to the next boat ramp below the dam to put the boat back in the water. So it's an absolute necessity to have a crew that will follow you along the way and let you, if nothing else, load the boat up, take it around, and put it back in. But
my fear of the whole race was confirmed when I thought the number 650 meant 650 miles. So you're already more hardcore of a person than me. And I'm just going to be honest. There are people who, Will always teases me about running the marathon or half marathon in December. And I'm always like, I got to run the 5K because my attention span is too short. So like mentally, I know you saw the challenge, and I'm a person, I like to finish what I start, but man, like you're a whole nother level of finish what you start, right? And so mentally, when does the wall hit? Like when for you personally, was it like you just had to push through? And does it come and go? Does it, is it something that once it hits, you're just kind of in that and you just got to grit it out? Or, maybe it's different for every race, every time you've done it. I don't know.
It definitely was different every time I did it. The first year, doing it with a partner is very much different than doing it solo. You keep each other company. The year that I finished in a tandem boat, we had another guy that just paddled along with us named John Wellens the whole entire time. He didn't really want to be out there by himself. And I mean, we spent 6 days together, but I feel like I know him better than just about anybody. I mean, like when I say 6 days, I mean 6 full 24-hour days we spent together. And he actually came to see me finish this year from South Carolina, but he's just a great guy. But that year, there really was never a wall for me. My partner did hit a few walls, I think. But I really enjoy it. I love being out there on the water. Now then, last year, there was a wall or two along the way. I knew to do good in the race, there was going to be very little sleep. And so sleep deprivation starts getting to you. You start seeing all kinds of crazy stuff out on the water, hearing all kinds of crazy noises that you don't know where they're coming from or what they are. And so last year, there were quite a few in and out of hitting the wall. I would sit out. There was times I'd sit out in the boat for an hour, not being able to get to my crew so I could take a real break, but then also I just did not want to paddle at the time. And so I'd get out there and eat snacks and just try to get myself back right. And, eventually it goes away and you continue on. And I got real lucky that I got out in front of everybody early, and they didn't have enough time to catch me at the end. I started bonking real hard once I got to Mobile Bay last year. This year, the main mental aspect of it was me and another guy who's a very competitive paddler named Bobby Johnson were racing down to Wetumpka, which is about 200-ish, 250 miles into the race. And because of Hurricane Helene, the last hurricane that came through, he lives down in Tampa, and he had to leave when we got to Wetumpka. So 200 miles in, he and I were already 43 miles ahead of the rest of the group of paddlers. 20 boats started, and like I said, me and him were 43 miles ahead at the end to middle of the third day. So
flying.
Once he left, it was very, very difficult to continue on at that pace. But I did do it.
So difficult, in fact, that you got ahead by.
I was about to say.
I did end up way ahead of the pack, but it was mainly my daughter was there. My daughter was there to spur me on. She wasn't going to let me slow down any. But it was not easy.
One time you were when you hit the bay about 100 miles.
103 miles ahead at one point.
Kind of hard to get motivated when you're beating somebody by 103 miles. Crazy stuff.
Well, I also had already had twice as much sleep as I had the year before. So, I mean, it was a really, really good year right up until we got to Mobile Bay.
Yeah, I talked to you the night before you hit Mobile Bay, and you told me, you were like, I'm gonna stop at this dock. I'm gonna refuel. I might take a little nap, and then I'm just gonna hit it hard. I mean, maybe I don't even think you were gonna take a nap. You're just like, I'm paddling through Mobile Bay. The next thing I saw, like the next morning, you had capsized, and you were not on your way anymore.
That is correct.
And it slowed down a lot at that point.
So I feel like if Bobby hadn't quit, then we would have actually beat the weather to the bay. We would have got around Mobile Bay, and we would have finished in about 5.5 days, which would have been the fastest male solo finish ever. And I just couldn't stay quite as motivated without him there. So I get down to Mobile Bay. There's 30-mile-an-hour headwinds. It's 3 o'clock in the morning, so I can't see any of these waves coming at me really. Pitch black dark. And so, yeah, I get under I-10 bridge. It's crazy. I get a little ways, flip my boat over, lose all my stuff, end up going over to land, and just I'm going to sleep through the night and see how it looks in the morning. And, of course, it didn't look any better, probably worse in the morning. But, you know, I was 103 miles ahead, so I had plenty of time. Yeah, I could kind of rest and wait it out and see what was going to happen, and that's kind of what we did.
And it never really got better, though.
It never did. I actually ended up waiting almost a full 24 hours, and ended up having to go through the bay with 25-mile-an-hour headwinds and 3 to 4 foot waves, which is exactly what I would have done the day before if I had just went on and done it. So that ended up costing me a full day, and I ended up a full day later than I was the year before. So I was on the same track as I was the year before, even though I'd gotten quite a bit more sleep. But the waiting on better weather that never came cost me.
You said something to me, I think, that night when we were talking on the phone. You said something about if you're looking for a reason to stop, you can usually find it.
Always. Always. I mean, you know, you think you know what's going to happen out there. The bay's always a mess. I mean, it's always the worst part of the race. You get down there. Last year, it was like glass when I got there, and 20 minutes after I got there, it was hard winds and waves again. And I think last year, whenever I got to the bay, I was 37 miles ahead. And when I say I'm 37 miles ahead, I'm 37 miles ahead of 2 really, really good paddlers. And one of them got within 8 miles of me.
Last year?
Yeah, before I finished. So he lives down in Tampa. He's used to terrible weather and bad water conditions. Roll through it, yeah. And man, he can just fly through it so fast. Luckily, he kind of bonked before he caught me, and he gave me a chance to get out ahead of him a little bit. Yeah, it's always something. I mean, if you want a reason to slow down and take a nap, you can definitely find one, because you hadn't had hardly any sleep. But
also quit. I mean, like, you know, it's kind of like that deal where if you want to find a reason to quit something, then you can generally find a reason to quit something.
More than half the boats quit this year.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not quitting.
So how do you, going back to Travis's question, how is it that you power through those moments where you're like, okay, I could quit right now.
Well,
I could go home.
And listen, I've quit races this year even. My nutrition wasn't right. My wife is very good at keeping me going with food, which is, I mean, insanely important. And whenever I don't have her around, then I'm very, very capable of just going out there and trying to just do it, just be tough through it and not eat like I should. And so I have quit races. The reason that I don't quit this race, first of all, is, you know, I'm the hometown guy. I knew I was going to win after Bobby quit. I knew I was going to win the race. There was no reason to, you know, it never got so bad that I even thought I'd quit. But my daughter was there too, and I mean, I ain't quitting in front of her. If you know her, then you know you're not quitting in front of her either. Yeah. I mean, she's a bulldog. Yeah, sometimes. She's trying to keep you going all the time. She didn't even want me to sleep any, so I sure wasn't. I quit one race in front of her this year. She went to Missouri and crewed me in a race, and I just got sick. I didn't eat good. I thought that I knew what I was doing, and I really didn't. And I needed her to see me as back in my optimal shape and not like I was there. So quitting was very much not an option. Even in this long of a race, you can you can take time off if you need to, you know.
Oh yeah.
If you need, I always try to tell everybody, if you think you're going to quit, sleep through the night and then decide if you really want to quit, because that quitting sticks with you for a long, long time. Yeah. It's not an easy thing to do.
What's the book that the Jenkins have? Is it Never Quit on a Monday? Yeah. Like don't quit on the day after the, Sunday. Mondays a lot of times are bad days. You don't feel real good after doing that. So as a preacher, don't quit on a Monday.
Yeah.
So,
absolutely.
Take a little time to think about it.
Travis, you've met the Reaves crew, or the majority of them, through camp and everything else. But Trey, what is it like to have the support that you have? Because I know everybody doesn't have the support. And what does that mean?
A lot of racers will put out there, who will support me? I'm doing this race. Who's going to support me? And if they're lucky, they'll find a racer that knows something about what they got going on. Some people just find friends and everything. My crew has always been my family. They're the absolute best. My wife's a nurse practitioner, so she knows all about, your health and what to do if I start feeling bad. And my kids have always been there. Either my son Colt or my daughter Ruthie has always been there to push me along. I've got the best crew out there. I mean, everybody. No, I don't think anybody would even argue with me that I've got the best crew, and the crew's the reason that I win the race. They're just a well-oiled machine. They're tuned into it. They're happy to be out there with me. They're happy that I'm doing this and that I found something that I love to do, and they support me. I mean, just unbelievably. This is my wife's 4th year to do the race. My son's done it 3 times with her, and Ruthie did it this year with her. And I mean, we know what to do, especially in this race, and it makes all the difference in the world. Awesome. All of it.
Well, I like the hometown boy motivation, right? You can't. They can't be coming in here and taking Sweet Home Alabama away from us. So
absolutely not.
I'm all about that.
Alabama. For as long as I can paddle, I'm keeping that trophy in Alabama.
Nice. So there it is, folks. If you're out there thinking, surely he's not going to go again, right? Then maybe they're thinking, oh, I got him next year. Surely there it is. It's just
through the middle of the race. I'm never going to do it again. And all the way through the bay, I'm thinking about what am I going to do next year to just be a little bit faster through this bay.
That sounds like me when I try to run in any kind of half marathon or anything. It's like I'm never doing this again. All right, what about next year, boys?
Yeah, I mean, it's in your mind. Of course, you're going to say it. My wife even has said, "I'm not crewing this race anymore." We don't even get home before we're planning out next year and exactly what we're going to do.
That's awesome. We got to work out getting Colt on. He's the only one that's not been on the podcast.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, he's fixing to. If they end up having the race, he's about to go down to Sarasota and do a race called Last Paddler Standing, which is a stand-up paddleboard race. Last year he did it. He was the youngest competitor ever. But it's a 3-mile loop. You just paddle 3 miles on a stand-up paddleboard, standing up. You can't have any music. You can't have anything with you except for water. When you get to the end, you get about a 10 to 15-minute break. And then at the start of the next hour, you start paddling 3 miles again. And you just go until the last paddler is standing. And
teaching him young.
I tried it last year and swore I'd never do it again, and I'm not going to. And he did it last year, and he is into it. So
that's awesome.
So maybe y'all could talk to him after Last Paddler Standing and see how.
That would be great. That's awesome.
Hey, parents and young adventurers, are you ready to embark on an extraordinary journey? Introducing the adventures of Ben and Travis and the Worry Coaster, a thrilling ride through the ups and downs of mental health in our new children's book. Join our dynamic duo as they navigate the twists and turns of their emotions while discovering the courage to conquer their worries. Pre-order your ticket to adventure now at benandtravis.com/books and be among the first to embark on this roller coaster of resilience. Let's turn worry into wonder and empower kids to embrace their feelings with bravery and hope. Buckle up. It's going to be an unforgettable ride. So the good old-fashioned dislike is a 3 to 5 minute college football, pro football podcast that I do once a week during football season. And so this is the good old-fashioned dislike question of the day. I'm a football coach. I'm a team sport guy, and I kind of feed off of that. Of course, you said that you've gone down the competition. But something that seems to be in short supply in 2024. And it's races like yours to hear people that there's a lot of people that attempt this actually encourages me a lot. But grit is something that seems to be, in short supply in 2024. And I'm sure it's because we hear all the bad stories about, lack of grit and stuff. But man, where do you get your grit from? Is there somebody in your family, or is it just a Reaves, y'all's little crew there that's just full of grit? Is there somebody, maybe a dad, mom, grandparent, whoever?
My dad still puts a full 12-hour work day in every day. He's 72 years old. I've just been around him my whole life. He's a hard worker, and I've just gotten that from him. I think the work that I do, we own a construction company where we go into plants and do like heavy industrial maintenance work. And we work long hours when we're gone. And I think that really is kind of setting me up to do this. I'd much rather be out there enjoying myself paddling than being at work, So it's a week off work.
Yeah.
Whatever the thing is, it's a week off work. So.
Well, your kids don't have any hope, because I've known Alicia for a long time, and she's pretty gritty as well.
Absolutely. She's a tough lady.
So the fact that she's pushing you and then you guys are pushing your kids to do stuff like that, it's pretty amazing.
So my second question is, if you could have anybody in the world history that you could have as a teammate, and you've got them there for 6 days or however long it takes them, you 3.5 days probably next year, right? 650 miles. But
I hope to be less than 6 days next year.
If you could have one teammate and you just got them and you can ask them anything for 6 days out there while you're paddling, who are you going to go with? Or is there somebody that you think would give you an advantage?
Alicia is the advantage. She is it. I got the best teammate. I don't need to think about it. I know that is the answer. She powers me through, and other than that, it would just be my kids, because they're just fun to be around. And
she didn't pay us any money. Didn't pay me any money to ask you that question. So
yeah, I hope you're listening.
I mean, the thing is, I don't even know who else I would think about having. She is the glue that holds it together. I can assure you that if she was not there, then I told her at the end of the race, I'll never do the 650 without her. I don't want to do the 650 without her. She is the teammate.
That's awesome. So I have a question, and that is this: out of all the places that you've gone and done, I know you've even meant to mention this earlier, you paddled in the Yukon, right?
Yeah, so I paddled that's the longest paddle race in the world, is the Yukon 1000. I'm the only person to ever paddle the 1000 and the 650 in the same year.
1,650 miles.
I hate to say this, I actually paddled about 3,800 miles that year. I did several other races and just training all year long to do the races.
Yeah. I feel so unaccomplished when I talk to Trey.
I did nothing with my life. Nothing.
So last year I paddled from Tampa Bay to Key Largo. It's called the Everglades Challenge, 300 miles. I paddled 150 miles on the Mississippi River on the upper Mississippi. Did the 1000, did the 650, did Chattajack, which is a shorter race over in Chattanooga, but it's 700 competitors, and me and my partner won our division there. Yeah, so we had a really good year last year.
My question with all that was, including your biking and your running and everything else, what's one of the coolest things you've seen or coolest memories? Just, one thing that just really stands out about any of the stuff that you've done. And I know there's probably a bunch of things.
I think probably the neatest thing to me is up on the Yukon River, there's a river called the White River that merges into the Yukon. the Yukon is crystal clear blue up until you get to the White River, and the White River has an ash deposit from an old volcano that erupted, like, I think they told me 500 years ago, but a long time ago. And that ash deposit's been coming down that river ever since. And it turns the Yukon River completely gray with silt from that ash. And it's an amazing, I mean, it's such an amazing.
Like you could see where it merges just with the.
Yeah, I'll show you a picture here in just a little bit. It's amazing. It's amazing. And I think that's the wildest thing I've really ever seen out there paddling. I mean, you see wild animals, you see all kinds of stuff, but just something different that you've never seen anywhere, plus all the beautiful scenery around when it's happening, is just really, really amazing.
Here's the coolest thing about Trey. I want to ask a question, but I'll just say it. Is I've seen Trey out, driving 400 or 500 miles away working, and he will drive all the way back into town for a soccer game or a track meet or a cross-country meet or anything, watch his kids, and then immediately leave and go right back to work. And to me, he's accomplished a lot of things, but being around a bunch of teenagers, I have never seen kids be as open with their dad as what Trey's kids are. So he's got a lot of accomplishments, but man, there's some of us that watch him to get the insight on how do you get your kids to tell you everything, man, because he's got it. So it's just a really cool guy to be around. Glad to have him a part of my life. I would say that the thing that really pushed him through to back-to-back championships at the 650 were the phone calls from me and Ben while he was in the Bay. But
absolutely,
we won't say what really. I know Alicia helped.
Team Ben and Travis paddling, or Team Ben and Will paddling.
We need to get it. We need to get him a shirt or something with our logo on it to wear as he paddles.
I'm just saying those.
Tell me what kind of shirt, man. We'll make it happen.
11 at night going through the Bay had to help in some way.
Every single phone call, every single text, every single comment on Facebook help out a ton. Alicia will call and just read me comments off Facebook. Last year, whenever me and Bobby were racing through the Bay, she would call and be like, Trey, they're saying on Facebook that there's no chance that you can beat Bobby, that he's going to catch you. And I mean, it pushes me a lot. So, absolutely, all the phone calls help.
The class at Mars Hill was connected in like every a couple of mornings. Calling you.
They would call me. My daughter's ecology class. I went and talked to them before the race, and then during the race they called me up and just checked on me a couple of times just to see how everything was going, and.
Every morning he'd pull it up and put it on the screen.
Put it on the big screen.
And show where you were at and where all the other guys were. It was great.
Yeah. It was real fun.
Well, Trey, I appreciate you taking time to spend time with these yahoos, and always good to hear these stories, man. That's phenomenal. Man, I appreciate you joining us and sharing your story, man. We'll go out there and do it again. We'll have you back next year.
Sounds great, man.
Thanks for being with us for this episode of the Helping Healing Humor podcast. Be sure to download our free ebook, 28 Days of Focused Living, at benandtravis.com and receive all of our Helping Healing and Humor extra content directly in your inbox. We look forward to having you join us at the same Ben and Travis time, same Ben and Travis channel.